All right. Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Claudia. And here we talk about all things self-development, wellness, community values, core values, spirituality. And today we are about to nourish your spirituality. We have a very special guest called Savya the monk, and now called Gauranga Swami. And he is a teacher who travels the world speaking about topics like relationships, reincarnation, spirituality, etc. And he started his journey in 2002, and you are about to learn more about his spirituality and his journey, of course. So now, as you tune in, make sure to get your water, your snack, so that once you're seated, you are locked in. You don't want to miss a minute of this episode. I am truly excited today, Gauranga, to have this conversation with you. And thank you so much for making the time to also spread awareness about what you practice. I'm confident that our audience is going to enjoy this talk, because the kinds of people who tune in into this episode or for the Real Talk with Claudia are people who care about living a meaningful life, who care about developing themselves, who are curious as well. And I'm confident that today they're definitely going to have key takeaways that they'll find really helpful and will grow their awareness about the environment that they live in. So would you like to introduce yourself and also share with us, you started your journey in 2002. What do you think led you to this path that you're on today?
Thank you, Claudia. And I'm very happy to be part of the Real Talk family. I feel at home already. And my name is Sibusiso Nhlabathi from home. And I go by Savya the monk on social media. I just recently, in the last 3 months, took an ordination into the life of a renounced monk and became Gauranga Swami. I started this journey in retrospect, actually in high school, where you start to try to understand yourself, your environment, you're trying to figure out relationships. And I was particularly influenced by the sounds of the Caribbean. I was a Bob Marley listener. And in that music, I found a lot of conscious lyrics.
Okay.
I found that Bob was able to distill the wisdoms of the Bible. He was politically conscious. And he wanted to liberate especially people of Africa. Mm-hmm. And as a teenager, you're always worried about what will be the future,
exactly.
What's our history, why we were under subjugation. And I think in that time, especially growing up in Swaziland, we take shelter of our herbs here. And under those herbals, then life slowed down a bit, and you can ask these questions and you can observe the world and ask, why are people doing what they're doing?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So yes, later on when I got to Pretoria Tech, then I happened to see a poster on the wall on campus. At that time, I was involved in a Black consciousness movement, and we were trying to gather young people. Let's get together, team up, and let's create a better future for ourselves, not just wait for the degree. And in that way, we were connecting with the National Youth League, Kara Heritage, different movements that were about youth development. As we were walking, we saw Bhakti Yoga Society, a poster on campus. The topic was a cure for all diseases. I thought, this is wild. Cure for all diseases.
How? Yeah.
And I thought, they must also be taking herbal supplements, or they are onto something.
Yeah.
So we decided with the whole crew of us to go check it out at the Arts Campus. Lo and behold, as we were doing our own thing, we saw someone dressed as me now in robes. Mm-hmm. And because we were on the lookout for people who were not living life like everyone else.
Okay, unconventional people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We immediately ran to that guy,
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what is this? What you up to? He said, we're hosting this Bhakti Yoga session. So we came for that. And we went there. we listened to the talk, and I remember thinking, because the speaker was like an Afrikaans guy,
Okay.
and you know, we're in Black consciousness. We're thinking, this white guy, what's he gonna tell us, you know? But as he spoke, he mentioned this point that we are not this body,
All right.
we're the soul.
Okay.
And for the first time, I could understand the distinction between consciousness, the spirit, and the physical body in which I find myself in. And I found that to be like, maybe this whole consciousness development we're talking about is not just about uniting on the platform of being Africans,
Okay.
but we can actually do something bigger, bringing unity at the level of living beings, humanity. So they had a little song. We sang along, Hare Krishna. I thought it's
Didn't
like,
you find that weird? Cringe. Like, what's happening?
yeah, I thought, what's going on? But you know, the drums were sounding good.
Okay.
So there was a rhythm. It's like a little nursery school rhyme.
Okay.
I've never known the language,
Okay.
but because they had it on the screen there, we sort of followed on. We kind of danced, and we were already like uplifted by our herbs.
Okay.
And punchline was that they were offering a vegetarian meal.
Oh, okay.
Because I was part of the Rasta movement,
Okay.
I was already in agreement about vegetarianism, you know. One Rasta once said to me, he said, Sbuddha, I thought you were a conscious brother, but man, you're just like a walking graveyard. Right?
What does he mean?
What's that all about?
Yeah.
So I asked him, Aya, why you just insult me like this? He said, nah, you are like, your stomach is like a graveyard for all these.
Oh, for this dead animal.
Yeah,
Okay.
they call it deada. Like
Okay.
you're eating deada.
Okay.
So, and then he walked away. When I just leaving me like milling it over in my mind. So when I thought about it, yeah, nobody wants to be killed and eaten. Like I wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
So when I heard the monks say that they were vegetarians, I thought, hey, this is my chance to sort of familiarize myself with not only maybe the philosophy behind it, but the practical. They've got food.
Yeah.
I'm a student at the time.
Okay.
I like to take herbs.
Okay.
So
Things were aligned. Yeah.
So
Okay.
that was, I would say, the start of it. I met this particular tradition of Hare Krishna at the arts campus in Pretoria.
Okay. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Very articulate. Just curious, before, because you're part of a movement empowering the youth, also you're interested and exposed to the Rastafari, and then now into this monk spirituality. At home, what did you practice? Any form of spirituality where you come from?
Yes, we raised practically in the Catholic Church.
Okay.
I did my studies at Olos, and I was actually like an altar boy growing up.
Okay. So you've always been spiritual.
Like at the time, it was
they
like
say,
the
you know,
home church.
Exactly. I want to say, they say that no children are born Catholic or Nazarene, but they have parents who are Catholic. So we sort of just absorb that because that's where we come from. And I think it's a beautiful thing that, yes, we will come from homes where there's a form of religion or faith being practiced. I think that's very important in community as well. But I also think it's very important that as people get older, they find what resonates as well. They find their why in whatever they are practicing, of which we're about to get onto that. Congratulations on being ordained as an official monk.
Thank you.
What is your
if you
role?
see my stick at the back, I've got a staff, that I carry.
Only monks carry that.
Yes.
Oh, amazing. Congratulations. What is a monk? How was the, let me say, initiation period? What does it take to be a monk? What do they do? Are there different types of them? Yeah, could you please just share a little bit more about that?
Right. So a monk, just for an example that's closer to most people's experience, I would say like the brothers that live in a Catholic monastery, for example, or brother.
Yeah.
So generally, monks are following a practice of celibacy,
Okay.
and they would live within the compounds of whether it's a temple or a church or a synagogue. And in this particular tradition, how it starts, there are 4 divisions on one's spiritual journey. The first being student life, which is called in Sanskrit as brahmacharya.
Okay.
Brahma means spiritual, acha means the path, or one who's living in pursuance of spiritual development. It's called the brahmacharya student. The next level would be married life, householder. So the guru would assess the student and see, is this person thriving, progressing as a celibate monastic, or they will do better service and learn more spiritually in married life. And so some would then become married.
Okay.
Then after married life, after 50 years old, one is encouraged to enter the retired order. Now you have life experience, and then you can get back to your spiritual focus without being encumbered by the duties of
being a husband and a father.
Yeah, raising kids, the rest of it. And then past the retired stage is the renounced order. So one could either go via marriage to the final order, renounced order, or from student life straight. So I joined the ashram, the temple in '02, and I just stayed as a student for the last 23 years. And so based on the seniors and peers seeing that, okay, this brother, he seems to be chaste, he's got the ability to communicate the message, dedicated, maybe he should now take on the responsibility of traveling further and teaching more extensively these wisdoms. And so my spiritual master suggested I get to it he started when I was 27, actually.
That's a huge sacrifice, because I can imagine as a young man, 27, tall, attractive, probably. And, you know, there's a lot of things that you could be doing, there's impulses that you could be giving into, but you're so focused, this is what I want to do. What made you feel that strong proclivity to do that?
I had my experiences, with ladies. No shade to the ladies.
Okay.
I had good relationships, but I can just tell you, like, my first relationship gave me some insights that just kind of kept me going.
Okay.
I had a girlfriend that everything was all good. Come school holidays, I went to visit somewhere, I came back, and she had the opinion that, look, we're good, I like you, but my friend likes you too. And my other friend's boyfriend, his friend is like trying to get with me. So I'm thinking, maybe I can give you my friend, and then I can...
What an exchange.
and then, you know, I think when we're young, we're really wearing our heart on our sleeve. And even as we get older, still we want to really love and be loved. And so at that point, I sort of questioned the idea of love.
Okay.
I could understand that there's a transaction here. It's a sort of a business thing. It's not this forever that I'm looking for in my heart. So another relationship came. I could understand we're both good. We really love each other. We're attached to each other. But it seems we are unable to make each other happy or to fulfill each other because of just not understanding the dynamics of male-female relationships. So then we came across a book with that particular girlfriend, which was called Transforming Lust into Love.
Okay.
She read it, and I thought, oh, now that she read it, she'll discover.
We have the key now to making this work.
Oh, I was thinking she'll understand that maybe I'm lacking.
Okay.
But I think she just saw it as an interesting read. She gave it to me. But when I read it, I could understand, actually, instead of me saying, I love you, because love being selfless,
Yes.
being without any motive for gain, I could tell within myself that I was more attached to her on the side of enjoying, whether it's her company, her looks, whatever it may be.
You didn't experience something deeper than that.
I could understand that it had a ceiling.
Okay.
Yes, because love is actually a spiritual principle. So then I also had this very pressing mood to be an agent of positive change in the world.
Okay.
So I was thinking, what could I do, one person that could help people come out of lots of, suffering, especially whether it's systems that have been put into their lives. So I thought I was going to be like work on radio or something to talk to people.
Yeah.
So it came to pass that knowledge, wisdom became an area which I was interested in, and then culminating in meeting the monks of Hare Krishna. Then I thought, okay, let me make myself the experiment.
Okay.
Yeah, let me get into the laboratory and try to use these spiritual techniques to uplift my consciousness. Then I could share with others, having tried it out myself.
Okay. All right.
Long story short.
Yeah. And making yourself an experiment, did you experience any resistance or critics from your personal people who care about you, family, friends, people who felt like, oh my God, you could have a promising future? I mean, you went to a university in South Africa, and they probably saw a bright future filled with so much glitter as well, and a family in it. And you didn't do any of that. You chose to be, of course, a part of something bigger, moving consciousness. But how did you deal with that? Did you experience it? And
yes.
What's the self-talk you had about that?
Yes, I found a lot of resistance, which initially was shocking to me, because people around us, friends, family members, we have this unspoken contract that they want us to be happy. We think like that.
Yep.
So, but I could understand that there is a tried and tested so-called formula, or an accepted formula, how people will be happy. The route of, education, family, career. So when I seemed to be moving away from that, friends were like, you are like getting brainwashed.
Of course.
My Christian family, you're entering a cult. And you were so smart, you can.
Yeah.
So, it took, you could say, sort of a hero's mood inside me. Like, I could understand this will be good for me in the long term.
Okay.
And I felt that they will also get to see the value of this. And because of that revolutionary spirit, when the critics and the naysayers were there, it fueled me.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'll show you that this is actually good. I'll do it.
And I feel like you've been showing them. I mean, you were just ordained as a monk right now. And then you said they'll see the value in it. What is that revolutionary message that you feel like you're pushing out there? And also, what do you feel you have learned through your journey, through the teachings of Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita? You have a Bible right next to you. What is the core message?
This is sort of love masquerading as a philosophy, actually.
Okay.
In here, Krishna, the Supreme Person, the beloved of all living beings, is communicating to us an understanding of what are the causes of our suffering, what are the obstacles towards attaining our heart's desires, whether in love, in relationships, in business, in family, in politics. And he begins by the ABC method, not really method, but message, that we are not the body that we are in.
Okay.
The body is just like a vehicle. And a vehicle is meant to take us somewhere. So the human body specifically is empowered with the facilities to ask the right questions, to form a conviction, to move in a direction. So we can understand as human beings, compared to animals and trees, that we are spiritual in nature and that we are looking for unending happiness. We're looking for ever increasing knowledge. We don't want to be subject to death. We want to live forever. Forever young. So we can also see that in the world around us, that is not possible.
Mm-hmm.
So then how do I use human body, human life to connect to the eternal world, to the eternal love of the Supreme Lord? And how do my activities in this world take on greater meaning? As in, how can we offer our abilities, our time, our talents to the one who can reciprocate with our hearts in love, Krishna? So 5 main topics, briefly, I'll just mention. There are more, but in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a discussion, who is God? So Krishna is describing himself. Then what is the living being? Who are we? Then we understand material nature. What is the stuff around us? How does it impact us? Then the subject of the results of our actions. Now people want to know, if I do this and I do that, what is the result? So the law of karma, which is married with the understanding of reincarnation. Because if you're an eternal spiritual being, then your activities now not only fructify today, next week, some don't give the fruit until your
the next life.
So then, and then the 5th is time. What is that governing principle that brings everything from beginning to end, that controls everything? And there Krishna says, time I am, the destroyer of all worlds. But I am here to liberate those who use time in my service.
Okay.
So, yes, Bhagavad Gita then is, in translation, Gita means song.
Okay.
Bhagavad means one who possesses all opulences. So God is known as Bhagavan because he possesses all knowledge, all strength, all beauty, all renunciation, all influence, like that. So the song of the one who possesses everything.
Okay. These are his lyrics.
Yes, it can actually be sung. All these verses are like in Sanskrit, you know. Tasmada jnana sambhutam ritstam jnana sitanatmana chitatvam samsayam yogam atishta bharata. Like that.
Is that a form of a language?
This is, yes, the Sanskrit language.
Okay.
So it will be there in its original, what's known as Devanagari. And then it's in the English alphabet.
Okay.
Then you get a word-for-word translation.
Okay.
Then a translation in English of the Sanskrit. Then a commentary on the verse. So that's how the book moves.
First, what you practice is a form of spirituality or religion.
It's a combination of philosophy and religious principles.
What is it called?
It is called Krishna consciousness.
Krishna consciousness.
And technically it's also known as Bhakti Yoga.
Okay.
Yes. And how it is a combination is that when there's no philosophical base, some knowledge to analyze reality, then there's a tendency to accept things out of fear or coercion or just dogma. This is what we've been doing, tradition. And then when it's just philosophy, just analysis without the heart of God being presented, principles that grow one in character and morality and service, then it's speculation. You know how everyone, I think this, I think that. And so this is a marriage of Krishna himself is explaining from his point of view as God, what is reality? And he's trying to help us align and see things as he sees them, as he has laid them down to work. So in general terms, people will just class it, oh, it's a religion. But we know these days the term religion is so loaded, right?
Yep.
Because of the political machinery that has come with religion, where it's been weaponized to exploit the spiritual sentiment of people and sometimes divide them superficially based on just maybe what you're wearing. You know, we are Anglican, we are Catholic, we are this. Even all denominations have these, and then we forget the actual subject of the religion. Or
Absolutely.
yeah.
I have a gazillion questions, and it's unfortunate we have to try and sum up everything in this limited time that we have. But we'll try to do it in a way that's easy for people to understand and get the most out of this episode as much as we can. So this school of thought originates from India?
It predates India.
Okay.
Yeah. Within the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions how he spoke the same wisdom to the sun god. So the universe has multiple, not just multiple, is actually innumerable planets. There's different planetary systems within the universe. And the sun that we see glowing in the sky has its own predominating ruler deity. So he's known as Surya. So he spoke this knowledge to him 2 million years ago in human time frames. And then that knowledge has been coming down, but then he detects whenever the chain of disciplic succession is broken, he comes and speaks it again. So he spoke it to the sun god, who spoke it to Manu. Manu is the ancestor of all human beings. Manusya is coming from, and mankind coming from Manu, the original ancestor.
Okay.
Manu spoke it to his son Ikshwaku, like that. And so Krishna, about 5,000 plus years, he spoke it again to Arjuna.
Okay.
This knowledge.
All right. So would you say that the school of thought is also older than Christianity?
Yes, much older. This is the most ancient spiritual wisdoms of the planet. It's part of what is known as the Vedas. So without getting too deep, I can just say two things people can always Google, look things up, you know.
Yeah.
So this one is called Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
So it is coming, this is the essence of a line of teachers of scriptures called Upanishads. So Gita Upanishad is the cream of the Upanishadic line. And then there's another scripture called Srimad Bhagavatam, which is 18,000 verses. It is the essence of the line called the Puranas. So where it has been preserved is what we know today as India.
Okay.
And therefore, when we look at it from, you know, the time frames that we're in, then it's easy to think it's just from India, when it actually predates the country that is called India.
Okay. All right. Who is God? Who is Krishna?
Beautiful question. There's a beautiful and many, many beautiful ways to explain God, but we can start by saying it is that supreme individual from whom everything emanates, in whom everything is laid to rest, who is the controller, who is the maintainer, who is the supreme friend of every living being, who takes shelter from his own energies. No one is equal to him or above him. Krishna is who we are looking for, the eternal lover and friend. So understanding of God has different levels. Krishna would be God at home. Krishna says that I get more pleasure when my devotee considers me an equal or a subordinate, that they want to love me without knowledge of me being the supreme. So he says, knowledge of my supremacy and majesty, it cripples love. Like I experience greater happiness when I am chastised by my servant than when I hear all the reverential hymns of the scriptures. Oh, Almighty Lord, obeisances to you from the front, from the back. You are. That doesn't touch the heart of Krishna. So that's God at home. He is playful, he is dealing in love, and he is not manifesting power and majesty. Then he expands different forms where he is dealing as God. So you hear the name Krishna, then there's the name called Vishnu, or they're called Narayan. In those forms, Krishna has 4 arms, and he's got all the shiny helmets and he's God Almighty. And then that same God Almighty, he also has expansions that deal with managing the material universes. So what we are saying is that although there is one God, this name Krishna means is all attractive. He has different expansions of himself that do different aspects of creation, maintenance, and destruction. And he is calling us for a relationship. So there's an opportunity for relationships where one is neutral. There's God and there's me. There's a relationship where one understands he is my master, I'm his servant.
Okay, I love that. All
then
right.
There's a relationship higher where one considers the Lord to be like his friend. There's an equality. Then high up, there's a relationship where one can accept the Lord as one's dependent,
Okay.
like a parental love.
Yeah.
And then highest are the relationships where one accepts the Lord as a beloved, whether in a mood where one feels like it's a married relationship or a relationship of paramour lover. So there's such a wide scope of the relationships that are available.
And would you say that every living being has a relationship with God? Either they are aware of it or not aware of it?
Yes, completely. That can never be cut. What is happening is just that we've forgotten it. We've become covered over by our looking away. Just like if you look, sometimes children, actually, they show this. The child looks away and sees their own shadow, and they're like frightened by that. So being in this material world, it's like we are dealing with the shadow.
Okay.
If only we start to turn to look at the original, look at the Lord, and then slowly, gradually, what is covered will be awakened, that relationship which is always there.
What is the cost of not being a friend with God, of not having God as your beloved, of not being a servant of God?
What a beautiful question. What a question. I mean, you don't get such questions. I'm at the right place.
I'm happy. I told you I was excited.
So real talk, yes, there's a cost. And the cost is fear. This is baseline because it's caused by ignorance. Just like a child is walking in the streets, when they have their hand of their mother, they feel secure and happy. If they lose hold of the hand of the mother and then they look around and they can't see him, immediately they cry. They're afraid because they lost the connection. So what is happening is that when we forget that relationship, we start to think we are that which we are not. We are the servant, the friend, the beloved. Now we think there is no God. Then we look at God's energy, this material world.
Okay.
And we think, I am Lord and Master of this material energy.
Okay.
We try to control it and enjoy it.
We start thinking we're the God.
Yes.
Okay.
And now, because of that, we are in a place where everyone thinks they're the center, they're God, and so competition and strife.
So would you say that because of that, everyone thinking that they are the God, and in fact, in other religious realms, people would imply that we are God, and maybe you could share what you think about that. And because of that, it's probably why then we see wars, then we see this destruction. You've also mentioned that God and distraction somewhere there. So we start distracting amongst ourselves because we think we're the God.
Yes, we are God with a small g.
Okay.
Like we are God in a cage.
Yeah.
We're limited. How we are God is that we are made of the same qualities as God.
Okay.
We're eternal, we think, we feel, we plan like that. God has all these qualities in infinite capacity. So until we reconnect with that supreme, then we try to manifest our miniature godhood
Little
here.
God skills.
And so some other people create alliances to increase their influence and power,
Yeah.
to lord it over others.
Okay. And you mentioned that forgetting God or not having that relationship with God causes fear. How does that fear manifest in this actual world that we're living in? How can we see this? Or how can an individual person realize this fear in their life?
First, we think that we can die.
Okay.
So the fear of death, meaning
Okay.
now I am identifying with a perishable body,
Okay.
which is under the grip of time.
Yeah.
So that's the first fear. The second fear is that we think there's something else that is more powerful than God. That is a cause of fear, in that material nature creates this insecurity in us. Because whatever you hold now, sooner or later it vanishes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we start to get into this mood of trying to hoard. It's an expansion of insecurity. I want more for myself because the future. And then we see others as the body, and therefore discriminate based on the body. And another aspect of fear is violence. We are envious of others because we don't understand what they are. We think they are also scheming and plotting just as we are. So in that mode of ignorance,
We don't have trust.
we don't trust anyone, and we are trying to create schemes to create permanence in a place which does not offer permanence. Can you imagine a billionaire is also feeling like he needs to work harder to secure himself?
Yep. And where does a life with God or with the presence of God also have suffering? Does God cause suffering?
God has created this world with that ingredient of suffering,
Okay.
and it has a very great utility.
Okay.
Because when there's suffering, then it's like an alarm clock. Something is not right. We tend to pause and ask ourselves and try to find a remedy. So if this world didn't have temporariness and frustration and suffering, then there would be no impetus to search for our home and a desire to go back to the land where there is none of these. So just like a correctional facility, you go in there and your freedoms are limited and there's some warden on your case to let you know that you shouldn't be in this prison,
Okay.
so that you yearn to be free.
Where are we supposed to be?
The spiritual world. So the spiritual world is like 3/4 of the entire manifested cosmos is the spiritual world.
Okay.
The material worlds are like 1/4 of the whole of God's creation.
Okay. So what happens when we die? Do we go to the spiritual world? And if we do, then why do we reincarnate?
You go to the spiritual world once you have become a pure devotee, a pure servant. You're a selfless, unmotivated, surrendered child of God.
Okay.
And within your heart has risen the emotions where one is feeling like 100 years, one moment of forgetting the Lord. I give you the psychology of the pure devotee. They are criticizing the Creator, that He created these eyes which have eyelids, because when they blink, they are unable to see Krishna even for a moment. Those who love Krishna, they are walking with Krishna in the forest. When they don't see Krishna, who just walk behind a tree, they feel, what's the reason to maintain their lives? So that kind of love, where one is completely drawn, enchanted by the Lord, takes you back to the Lord. But if we still have hopes in society, friendship and love and economic development in these mature worlds, then you're not obliged to go to where you don't want. You still want a house on the hills. So you may get that. If you're extra sinful, then you may lose the human form of life. Just like sometimes we say this person is like a pig, because their consciousness and activities are not human-like, they're piggish. So you don't expect that person to get maybe an angelic existence, what to speak of it, go to the spiritual world. Material nature facilitates us the vehicle that matches our consciousness so we can live out our desires. Therefore, human life becomes so important that we are creating our next life now. Meaning, what is our deepest attachment is what will draw us to our next either spiritual body or a material body in whatever material planet in this universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Krishna explain why we die?
Krishna says, never was there a time when you did not exist, nor he, and there will be no time in the future where we cease to exist.
Okay.
He says that we cannot be burnt by fire, moistened by water, dried by the wind. We're eternal, immutable. We are never slain when the body is slain. And he says, one who is sober understands that just as I'm changing from boyhood to youth to old age, the final change is called death. But the sober, they're not worried and lamenting about that. So there's no death for us. But one who thinks they're the body, who identifies with this body, then experiences this thing called death, in that you are being taken away from what you think is you and what you think is yours connected to the body.
Would you say that a person can die, even though as we are sitting right here, it's like I'm alive, but
Yes.
I could be dead, basically?
Yes, you could say death can be analyzed at different levels. So one who is dead to himself or herself, knowledge of themselves, although they are breathing, it's just like the bellows of a accordion, They seem to be breathing in Costin, but there is no actual life. Yes. So life is spiritual. And those who don't manifest their spiritual nature are as though dead while living.
Okay. So would it imply that when that person who has died in this life, while they're breathing right now, basically they're not conscious, and then they experience the physical death, and then they reincarnate in their next life, they're basically dead again?
Yes. When you leave this body, you go with the consciousness that you've developed in this life. However, Krishna has made so many arrangements for us to wake up to our spiritual lives. Therefore, in human society, there are religious cultures, there are scriptures, there are saintly persons. So all of that is his mercy to remind us that there is a higher objective to life.
Which is?
Which is
To find
love and enjoyment in relationship with Krishna.
Okay. In short, we're here to enjoy life and have a relationship with God.
The term enjoy has the
Doesn't
connotation.
mean being in a bar, and I don't mean that.
Yeah, of course, yes. Because someone will say, hey,
yeah, it's time to party. No.
eat, drink, and be merry. However, in actual spiritual culture, every day is a festival. Every word is a song. Every step is a dance. Every meal is a feast. Because spirit is dynamic and ever increasing in its ability to fulfill the heart. So a spiritual community is vibrant and is joyful and it can counteract what we are used to in terms of just eat, drink, and be merry, but become degraded. So we need to find the culture where we can eat, drink, commune, but become uplifted spiritually.
Absolutely. In one of your sessions that you've had in other platforms of this kind, you talk about training the mind to control the senses. And right now we're talking about enjoyment. You know, we will have alcohol probably. We will enjoy food. We will enjoy indulging physically with our partners. But I think those things need to be controlled. I've read on Stoicism, and it's something that I've transcribed to and I've resonated with, because it talks about also certain pillars, including temperaments or self-moderation. So yes, we do believe in enjoyment, but for some reason we also believe that it needs to be monitored, to be controlled. Why is that important? That relationship of being able to control the mind, and also training the mind to control its senses. And does it mean being closer to God? And do you ever have a fear that the mind would stop controlling the senses as a monk yourself? And find yourself practically in a position where Christians would say you've sinned. Yes. And how do you deal with that? I know this question is so bunked up, but like, what do monks do when they realize that maybe they've sinned?
So yes, it's a life where by taking up the spiritual practice, like we're chanting mantras, we're hearing from Krishna himself. So we're taking in a lot of spiritual input, which purifies the consciousness. Means it enlivens the mind with a type of pleasure, where even when the suggestions, because the senses are bringing different stimulations, when the suggestion comes, the mind knows, no, we have a better quality of pleasure.
Okay.
But the life of a monk means you are vigilant, means you have a healthy paranoia of the potency of material energy to pull you down. And therefore the lifestyle is first be conscious before you can be Krishna conscious. Okay. So you get to understand your own particular nature and what are your susceptibilities. And then you wouldn't just try to be a hero and tempt material nature, because it's still Krishna's material nature. It's powerful.
Yeah.
So yes, to the point of mind and sense control, it's important because, say, the driver of the car is me, the spirit. And therefore the car itself, there's a computer in today's cars. That means the mind and the intelligence, so the software has to work in the car. And then the body, the senses, it means your engine, your tires, everything must be in good shape for you to have a smooth journey. If some other computer has a virus, and then the car will not act according to the driver's desire. If the tires have a puncture, then there's an accident. So the senses and the mind have to be under the control of the soul. And how that happens is you get spiritual knowledge, which strengthens the intelligence. Because intelligence is what discriminates. Okay. Should we do this? No, we shouldn't do this. Okay, 5 minutes of that is enough. Like this, it regulates. The mind is just going on memory. What felt good previously, we go with that.
Yeah.
Intelligence says, nah, it felt good, but then.
Okay. And for people who have found themselves having cheated on their partner, having or became excessive, what would you say have happened to them? They lost their intelligence. They became unconscious.
Yes, Krishna talks about it in Bhagavad Gita. See, I'm really making sure that you know
the book, that
you should get one at some point.
Okay.
He's asked by Arjuna, what is it that impels one to act sinfully, even unwillingly, as if by force?
Why do good people do bad things? Yeah.
Just like the guy smoking, he can read the cigarette causes cancer or this or that, but still he lights one.
Yeah.
So that energy is called lust. Lust means you are overcome by the chemical or the impression of quick fix pleasure. that it covers your intelligence.
Mm.
And we all have experienced, especially those who are grown up, how in the heat of, say, passion, a lot of things get lost in translation.
Mm.
And people after that, or intoxication, you get like a fever, although you know what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
but now you don't have the strength to go against the pleasure suggestion. Yes, so it's a thing of managing the environment
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and keeping good association.
Yeah.
That can help you. And in spiritual life, you need a guru.
Okay.
You need a teacher
Okay.
who is completely absorbed in spiritual life, who is free from the things that are bothering us.
Mm.
Then that partnership helps one who is a disciple, means under discipline. Because what's happening now is that each person thinks they're their own guru. They will discipline their own mind and senses.
Okay.
And therefore we get victimized again and again.
Okay.
But if we take shelter of someone stronger, which is, the Lord, his holy name, his wisdom, and his dedicated servants.
Okay. You know what I'm getting out of this? Because I was asking myself, why do people like you need to sacrifice children and marriage, even though there are those who have the opportunity to choose the married life and they take it, but there are some who are like, you have sacrificed that. And I'm like, is that what God wants? But what I'm realizing from this conversation is that because you've decided not to give in into these impulses or this form of lust and dedicate your life to Krishna, you become also an authority figure. So people who maybe have not developed that level of relationship with Krishna or consciousness or spirituality, they have people like you to guide them. They can come to you to guide them. Because as you've said, the mistake that most people do is to want to guide themselves when they're not spending as much time as you do on reading the Bhagavad Gita and dedicating themselves and doing mantras and, so they need someone like you for that kind of assistance. And then let's say somebody now comes to you to say, so I've sinned in this way, or I've had a moment of unconsciousness in this way. What do you say to them?
Well, we first unpack to understand how that has transpired.
Okay.
So because the person needs to understand so that they can be vigilant next time.
Okay.
What were the circumstances? And then each one can realize, sometimes you actually kind of know what may happen. But as they say, curiosity killed the cat. Or you were in a situation where your own willpower was overpowered by the environment.
Yeah.
So then now we recalibrate and we try to find a way that you are not placing yourself in such situations that can compromise your values.
Is there punishment? Some form of punishment? Christianity or other forms of religions would talk about hell, would talk about, also that we have sin, and we need this sort of purifying, so is there anything like that?
Krishna consciousness discusses how the universe has heavenly planets.
Okay.
It has the earthly planets, it has subterranean heavenly planets, and it has also hellish planets.
Okay.
So the whole universe, according to your consciousness, you are sort of a grade A, B, C, D, E prisoner. The higher up, the greater the lifespan, the material pleasures. Those are the heavenly enjoyments. Earthly, there's a balance between suffering and enjoyment. You go lower, there's more suffering than there is pleasure. All are not permanent. So even in this life, we can do things that bring about hell in our own lives. Meaning within your heart, you are in a blazing fire of desires of regret or debt.
In fact, the fact that you went through that unconscious moment, that was you being in hell. Yes. That's the form of suffering.
Ignorance creates suffering.
Yeah.
And goodness or enlightenment promotes further auspiciousness and happiness. So it's a tough one because you could say passion, it gives instant gratification, but that gratification turns into suffering. So there's happiness in the mode of goodness. It starts like poison. Oh, I don't want to do these things. It's too much, but it yields long term.
Okay.
And passionate means it's pleasurable now, suffering later. Ignorance means it's just suffering from beginning to end.
Yep. And my key takeaway is the suffering. So that otherwise, if there wasn't suffering, would we even think of God? Would we even acknowledge God? So there is suffering so that we remember our Creator and we have a relationship with our Creator.
And we actually can get a better quality experience even in this life.
Okay.
You see, it's almost like we are all trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
We are there at the party even, just there.
Yeah.
But someone else has tried too hard and now they are on the floor rolling around and we can see it's happiness, but this is low class.
Yeah.
Someone else tried, they're still able to have a conversation and they can drive home. Someone else doesn't need to add all these substances because they are more in touch, in tune, and they can enjoy life from within, from what they are thinking of, planning. And then someone else on the highest platform is always seeing Krishna in everything. Therefore, the Lord's never lost to them. And therefore, they are spiritually enlivened in any condition of life. So happiness has all these gradations. And suffering is just remove your hand from this hot stove. If there was no pain, then you would just burn your whole hand there. So as soon as you remove it.
All right. And you touched on religion, sort of like separating us. And that's my observation as well, that everybody, I feel like in their faith, they feel like we are the one true faith. We are the special ones. We are the ones that have the most relationship with God. Everybody should be like us. If they are not like us, they are not good. How does Krishna consciousness, does it acknowledge that any other sorts of types of faith? What does it think about them?
Yes, Krishna himself speaks that everyone is following my path in all respects.
Okay.
But he says, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So there's nothing that can be experienced and realized that is outside of God's energy.
Okay.
However, just like if you say people in the jungle acknowledge the rivers as like a supreme power, or the trees, or others were sun worshippers because the sun is powering the universe. Others look at their ancestors as, powerful people. Others who know of the controlling gods. You hear Greek gods, African gods, Mayan gods, whatever. They can try to connect there. And then others can understand the supreme beyond the universe, how he is living his majestic life with 4 arms. Others can understand that he has even a superior form where he's 2-armed, 1 face, and he's offering a relationship of love and sweetness. So nobody has a monopoly on God.
Okay.
Because God resides in the heart of all living beings. And God can reveal himself to any person in whatever situation if that person has a sincere desire to realize God. And each person can judge if their consciousness is actually developed by few tests. How much are you not attracted by temporary sense enjoyment?
Okay.
How much do you say, is this pleasing to God before I do something? That you only want to do things that please the Lord. You can tell also how much of your day are you trying to be of service to the Lord and his creation.
How do you do that? How does the average person be of service to the Lord and his creation?
The first, it said, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. So in the age we're in practically all spiritual cultures, the name of God is given as the primary way to connect with the Lord, because his name and himself are the same. So those who are fond of glorifying the Lord, his name, his activities, who like to recall and discuss amongst themselves the abode of the Lord, then you can see my attraction is in the life in relation to the Lord, or am I just absorbed in rands and cents and economic development, sense enjoyment? You can tell. And it's easier when there's somebody who is a little bit more advanced. They can easily be able to help you understand where you are at in terms of your development. However, you touched a point about different groups thinking that we are the best, we are number one, nobody, you know. So it tends to be a chief symptom of immature spiritual growth. Just like children think my father has a bigger gun than yours, you know. We have, there's a sectarian mood there. One who's more advanced, he can understand how the Lord is equally disposed to all living beings, and that he's simply looking at the heart for its sincerity, and he can uplift anyone despite whatever faith they claim.
So would a person be able to practice Krishna consciousness while they're Catholic maybe, or a Jehovah's Witness?
Yes. Krishna consciousness is the science of God realization.
Okay.
So that science, it's relevant in any school. The different religions are just schools where you learn the science of God. Who is God? Who am I? What is this world? How do I connect? So this empowers anyone in any school, whatever the school is called. And easy thing, you know, just by chanting Hare Krishna and reading Bhagavad Gita, you immediately infuse your practice with some, if I don't say depth, but I would say it lends some clarity. There's some nice guidance that can help in whatever path or religion you're practicing currently.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And some people may insinuate or imply or allude to the fact that because of us Africans being so spiritual and so religious, maybe it's the reason that we have found ourselves maybe suffering behind. Yes. What do you think about that?
I would say that there's some merit to that assertion.
Okay.
When we look at religion in terms of how it has manifested on the continent, the politicized version, where under the colonial master, who is on one side subjugating you and treating you like a beast of burden, that he is not really going to give you something that will liberate you and give you heavenly joy. Within the religion, you can certainly detect, because anywhere you mention God and you start to get into his qualities and his mercy, that is a spiritual thing. It is beyond all the politics. So it's basically like I'm giving you ice cream, but I've thrown sand in the ice cream. So somewhere you are getting the sweetness by... So people becoming preoccupied with religion as a means for economic development.
Okay.
Are using the wrong science for the wrong goal. Whereas you see that the colonizer separated the two. They've created the systems for economic development and they're proficient at them. And we are thinking through just the religion will just ask God for the 5 cents and get that, instead of getting the expertise of running a machinery that is material. So people see that here we are running with all our troubles day and night, thinking just prayer will create the economic prosperity we're looking for. Whereas, no, a business is a business. There's a way of making it work.
You need to learn the science of business.
Yes.
And religion and Krishna consciousness is basically helps us to sculpt the spiritual side of things. Okay. All right, that's amazing. I was just doing my little search online, and I found out there's about like probably 1 million or over 1 million monks, and in Africa about 650 more or less. And basically you're a part of those 650, which it's a tiny percentage. And I was just wondering to myself, would you say that why maybe the Krishna consciousness, I would say it's fairly new or being introduced in Africa. Why do you think there was that delay? And are you trying to raise awareness about it? Was it there before in Africa maybe? Well, you did say that it predates India. So what's your take on that?
Yes. In its formalization, it is quite late. In that, say, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, for example, the movement through which I am following the life of monkhood, only came to Africa in 72, having been incorporated in 66 in the US. It was vibrant 500 years plus already in the Indian subcontinent, and it was vibrant on the planet into the thousands of years, because within the histories, we hear of the emperors of the planet who were saintly kings who were ruling based on these principles of Krishna consciousness. So it is fairly new in the eyes of modern men in terms of it being an institution and actually with a mechanism and a structure that you can see. And yes, my humble service is that I'm trying to create this awareness.
Okay.
Because without knowing, like many of us, for example, until I was at university, I'd never heard of Krishna or Bhagavad Gita. So someone would come and say, how come you're not doing this or the other? How would I if I have no information of it? So if we allow people to know that these wisdom texts are there and that they are for them and for their benefit, then they get the chance to interact with them and gain what is available. But if you don't have the informations, you will manifest a life with the informations you have, and you may just think that's all that's available. For example, medicine. There's a whole field of Ayurveda. It's a whole style of medicine, which is a natural type. People can live birth to death without knowing it. There's a whole science of astrology, of palmistry. There's a science of how to design your houses, so there's all this knowledge which belongs to everyone. And I'm saying, let's be that wisdom culture generation where we're not locked in the head based on how we were colonized to think of ourselves.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. I had a question in my head, but they just keep on rolling and rolling and rolling. All right. Yes, I wanted to ask, because generally religious people would have a church. And now in your school of thought, how does it work? You are spreading this message. Is it the intention for everybody to become a monk, or how does that look like? Do you have like places where people would go? You did talk about monks residing in synagogues and things like that, but on the bigger picture, how does it look like? How does best look like?
Yes, we want to create communities, and communities means children, husband, wife, schools, the elderly, the priests. Everyone has a role to play. So for that, if you get land, and especially if you can grow your own foods, meaning it's a culture of simple living connected to the earth and using the mind to develop deeper understanding. So it will start, you have like what you may call outreach centers. You can get a house in the city. It's a resource center. People can come, there's a library, read something, interact. It can grow into a building of a place of worship, a temple. where people can congregate. It also functions in terms of what you may call cell groups. Different people in a certain area gather together. They can sing, read, and congregate. Otherwise, we want to allow everyone in their own home the ability to have a sacred space where they have time to spiritualize their food and learn the techniques of becoming Krishna conscious.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. I was sharing with you earlier on that I met you a couple of years ago at the Bushfire Festival, and I told you that I got books from you, and I actually brought them today.
Hey.
We have, who is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada? And you'll answer that. So yes, in essence, this is another one, and meditation. And I like this one because it's smaller. I could read at my own pace. And also, I was so curious about meditations because I do practice meditation. So what is meditations? Why is it important as well? But first, who is
Prabhupada?
Yeah, who's Prabhupada?
So Srila Prabhupada is the founder, you could say also the emissary of the spiritual world. He has transplanted these vast Sanskrit-based literatures. He gave translations and commentary and printed books. And he started a worldwide movement for training people in Krishna consciousness. So he is like the preeminent guru, that gurus into the next 10,000 of years will be really basing their teachings on what he has assembled coming from the previous teachers. So he's like the best granddad you'll ever meet.
Okay.
Because he just speaks the message of God as it is, like he created Bhagavad Gita as it is. Meaning there's a tendency to insert our own ideas and water it down to suit our own whims. But Prabhupada's credit is that he didn't change Krishna's message. He gave it as it is. Imagine he was asked, why don't you call this movement International Society for God Consciousness? Because people are familiar with the term God. He said, no, God is like saying the president. The next question is like, who is the president? He has a name. So International Society for Krishna Consciousness, because Krishna speaks of the personality of Godhead, not just the position of Supreme Controller. So yes, he is a most important author, spiritual teacher, well-wisher, and revolutionary. And one thing that he also brought more to the world is meditation. Meditation just simply means what your mind is absorbed in, what your thoughts are absorbed in, what your contemplations are. And your meditation then will dictate your mood or your vibration. So different types of meditations are there. Some are just for focus. Some are for just becoming a little bit more peaceful. Some are even good for falling asleep.
Yep. 100%.
And then, but the highest type of meditation is to meditate on the Supreme Personality. How? By hearing his holy name. Srila Prabhupada specifically gave the Hare Krishna Mahamantra for meditation, which goes like this. Children, you can sing along with me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So you can dress this form of God in sound vibration with different melodies. And you can accompany this form of the Lord in sound vibration with different types of music so that when it enters the ear, the heart can accept it. So the science of meditation is that by hearing Krishna's name, which is spiritual, it spiritualizes our own hearts. You remember we spoke we've become covered and we've become forgetful.
Mm.
So meditation is very important because you are what you meditate on.
Yep.
So that's why also in business, people have to be tunnel vision, meditate on the clients, the products, how to move.
What you put your focus on is basically meditation.
Yes. But
Would
now-
you say is what other religious people call prayer?
Yes, meditation also has moods. And you could say the highest form of meditation is a prayerful meditation, where we are either appreciating the mercy of the Lord, we're expressing our personal, intimate woes unto the Lord, we are sharing our service aspirations, we are repeating certain glorifications that have been penned down by other saintly persons.
Are those mantras?
Those are also, especially in this Sanskrit texts of the Vedas, they are all mantras. And then there's the Maha Mantra, the great mantra, what I just sang to all of you. Yeah.
I didn't know that version. I was expecting you're going to go like Hare Krishna. That's what
Yes, because meditation, right, is famous for a more tranquil, peaceful.
Zen.
Yes, this type of meditation becomes even a party.
Okay.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
That's
Ram,
nice.
Hare Hare. So different melodies.
Yeah.
Because it is actually, like we said, it's like a yoga for the new millennium. How does a person who is in a busy lifestyle connect? So how do we connect here? We're using sound. And when it's musical, when there's a good bass line, it creates happiness, and the sign of happiness is hey, Hare
dancing.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Okay. All right, I see. And quick one. What makes the Bhagavad Gita a credible book?
Yes, it's coming in what is known as disciplic succession.
Okay.
So there's a line of teachers all the way from the original speaker, Krishna. So the most prominent, you could say, amplifiers of the message. You can find a whole list of them. And Srila Prabhupada is actually listed here as maybe the 34th, 33rd in that chain of disciplic succession. And so one can say if the book itself says it's authoritative is one thing, and then there must also be persons who've applied the knowledge of the Gita who can testify that the theories, when applied, give the result. So there are saintly persons, teachers, and the scriptures themselves who are verifying the...
I've heard that through Roman Catholicism, they connotated the Bible, something like that. Canonized, yes, canonized the Bible. So you're saying also through the Krishna consciousness, it's been been people that verify.
Yes, it's a science where those who've applied can testify that actually it produces the results.
Okay.
Also, a nice unique thing is that the texts are in Sanskrit, so that the text can never be changed. What happens is that sometimes an unscrupulous person can use the words of Krishna to promote something else.
Okay.
Like, I want to run a business, some self-help business. Instead of giving the message of Krishna, which he's saying, surrender unto me. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever austerities you perform, do them as an offering to me. Then I remove Krishna from the picture. And then I start to say the purport of this book is so that you can become a better person in relationships, for example.
Okay.
Or I say, by reading Bhagavad Gita, you can make money. So it's no longer as it is, but we're using the pure knowledge, which is unchanged in the Sanskrit, but we are commenting on it to suit a different goal.
Okay.
So that's the specialty of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, is in that although Bhagavad Gita has been there for thousands of years and people brought it to the Western worlds, they did not produce persons like myself, devotees. When Prabhupada came and gave it as it is, Americans, Russians, Chinese, Kenyans, Nigerians, whoever, they began to chant Hare Krishna and become devoted to worshiping Krishna as described here. That's when you know also that the guru is bona fide. When the result of what's being said, he can transfer it to others.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Does the school of thought, or can it adapt itself for modern people and modern living?
Yes, I think it is actually undergoing a lot of that.
Okay.
In that the core of the practices, like chanting Hare Krishna, reading, because you could say the science of it is to hear about God, to chant or recite, remember about God, to worship. Those remain
Constant.
there. But according to the cultural expressions it finds the people in, and also it addresses the concerns of the time.
Okay.
Yes. Sometimes there's a clash because some tenets and some truths are just that. No matter how much we try to modernize them, you can't bend some truth. Yes, but at least you can try to use it to understand your context.
Okay. All right. If nobody stops me, I can go on and on. But once again, it's been an amazing conversation. I hope, even if it's not a real talk with Claudia, we come across each other again and we can expand on what we've started today. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're surely a well of wisdoms, and I feel our audience is very lucky that they'll come across this episode and they can listen and can learn a lot. It would probably spark more questions. So where's the place to find more answers, and where can they find more of you if not on Real Talk with Claudia?
Yes, you can be in touch with me online. My handle is at Savya the Monk, Savya the Monk. I have a TikTok, an Instagram, and a YouTube. And also that same Savya the Monk at Gmail. You can write to me. I'll be happy. In fact, questions are most encouraged because it's a sign of intelligence that we are trying to understand and question our reality. So please feel free. I don't bite. I'm a vegetarian. So.
That's a good one. All right. Thank you so much. And just a few wrapping up questions. If you had a giant billboard seen by millions every day, what would it say?
Wow. It would say, you should search for the eternal at all places, at all times, and never be satisfied with the version that you are today. And then underneath that, it would say, read Bhagavad Gita as it is.
Good one. Thank you. And what's the most unexpected or funny reaction you've had while performing or teaching on the streets?
Just one guy at Wits University. Actually, there's a video I'll post. He asked me, so when did you become a monkey?
Oh!
And twice he asked me this. So sometimes, people, we joke and say, when you say monk, they're like, monkey.
That's funny. That's really a funny one. And last one, if you weren't a monk, what would you be doing right now?
I'd probably be getting high and just rambling on about what life is about.
And I don't have a comeback for that. Oh my God. All right. Okay. Do you have any ending words or anything you'd like to part with?
Well, I'd say that it's not as serious as it sounds, although at the same time it is serious.
Yep.
So I would say Krishna consciousness means all questions answered or problems solved. And also it is serious fun. It's the journey of self-discovery is so wonderful, actually. Let us not be afraid to understand more of ourselves, the environment, and let us pursue love. At the end of it all, it's about the feelings of love.
Yeah.
And we want to love deeply. And in fact, love keeps those who are in love in tears of love.
Aww.
So that we deserve and we want. So this is helping us to position ourselves to experience love.
You know, you've referenced to Krishna as love quite a lot. So, you know, when we're experiencing love, I guess we are experiencing God. And that's just where we're constantly trying to keep ourselves, you know, in that space, in that realm. Thank you so much once again, Gauranga, Swami, for your time, for joining us today and all the wisdoms that you've shared. And thank you for staying tuned on this episode today. I'm confident that you've learned a lot. And to show that you have learned, you have listened, you have made it to this part of the episode, make sure to drop a comment of your biggest learning from this episode today. Please make sure to follow Gauranga Savya the Monk on his Instagram, on his TikTok, on his YouTube. Make sure to follow Claudia Poana on her social media platforms, myself. Make sure to follow TFE Network, that is responsible for the great work behind of airing these kinds of meaningful conversations on YouTube, on Instagram, and on TikTok. And that is it today for our episode. Please make sure to stay tuned and watch the next episode as well. And as you know, we end every episode with a quote. And today's quote says, "Your work is to discover your world, and then with all your heart, give yourself to it," by the Buddha. But you've learned, of course, more than that today. You've learned that you need to find love, you need to find the eternal, and don't be satisfied with the version of yourself that you are today. With love.